How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the second ever episode of Bronx Banter. We have a busy episode today. We will be starting out with our weekly injury report. Secondly, we will be getting into our personal team MVPs. Then we will be getting into a pitcher and a hitter that did or did not exceed our expectations that were set earlier in the year. We will then be going over the Yankees playoff lineup and the bullpen and how we think it's all going to shape out. And finally, we will be doing a series preview against the Kansas City Royals for the ALDS. So, as always, it's myself, Chris, Robert over here. Robert, how's your day going?
Chris, I am doing great. Looking forward for this Saturday. Yankee Stadium, the Bronx. It's going to be booming. Playoffs, we're ready for that. Welcome back to episode 2, everybody, and let's get into the injury report.
Yeah, so starting off the injury report, we have Anthony Rizzo. He's been hitting .250 since he got back from his old injury over the summer months, and this just sucks. He fractured the 4th and 5th fingers on his right hand, his glove hand. He has been so incredible at first base since he got back. Has picked pretty much every ball that's came his way. And we are really going to miss his glove, but this is where guys need to step up. So, Robert, you want to continue the injury report?
Yeah, Chris, second on that list, we got Jake Cousins. Fortunately for us, he's going to be back for the bullpen for the playoffs. He's been throwing on the field. He's been throwing side session bullpens. And like I said, he'll be back. He'll be ready to be a big part in that back end of the bullpen going into the first series versus the Royals. Besides that, Chris, let's get into the team MVP. Who is somebody this year that really took control of this team and it's shown by the numbers?
I have the generational Juan Soto. I mean, this guy every day continues to amaze me. You see him talking to the umpires, laughing and everything, and then he'll hit a ball 450. This guy's incredible. I mean, we traded our whole team for him, basically, and he had his best career season in 576 at-bats. He had 166 hits, 41 career-high home runs, 109 RBIs. That's good for a 288 average and a 988 OPS. If the Yankees do not sign this man in the offseason, they are making a huge mistake, and mark my words, it will go down in Yankee history as one of the worst mistakes ever made. This guy is a once-in-a-lifetime type of player, similar to the guy that Robert's about to talk about. So, Robert, who is your team MVP?
Yeah, Chris, I agree with everything that you said. Let's get the re-signed Soto's chance loud in the stadium this weekend. My team MVP for this year, it's pretty obvious. It's going to be Aaron Judge. In 559 at-bats, he's 180 hits, 58 home runs, 144 RBIs. That's good for a 322 average and a 1.159 OPS. I mean, there's not much to be said. It's Aaron Judge, one of the best hitters of this generation, and obviously he's going to be the MVP of the AL for this year. He's just a superstar, and having him behind Juan Soto is just the 1-2 punch that we need, and that obviously we're going to need for the future. So Chris, let's get started on to the next topic. Who is a pitcher that did not or did exceed your expectations?
A pitcher that did better than I thought they would this year is Mr. Carlos Rodon. Last year, he had about as bad as a season as you could have. Last year, in 64 innings pitched, he had a 6.85 ERA. That's not ideal for any pitcher, let alone a guy who is now going to be starting Game 2 of the playoffs. So let's go over his stats for this year. He had a 16-9 record this year. That's good for a 3.96 ERA, over 175 innings pitched. This guy was a workhorse, and 195 strikeouts. What a bounce-back year for Carlos Rodon. I also want to give a side shout-out to my man Luke Weaver, the Weave Dog. I didn't give him this award because, I don't know about you, I didn't really have any expectations for him, so there was nothing for him to exceed. But, I mean, this guy is leaps and bounds better than anybody thought he could be. If I asked you at the beginning of the season who our closer would be in October, I'll bet my whole life you would not have said Luke Weaver. But I am so happy that he is, because this guy just has a swag about him. He is just cool. And every time he goes in, I'm so confident he's gonna get the job done. He is special. So, Robert, do you want to lead us into a pitcher who did not exceed your expectations?
A pitcher that obviously did worse than we expected. Thought he was going to have a big year this year in that closer role. Unfortunately got booted of that recently, but that's Clay Holmes. 63 innings pitched, a 3.14 ERA, which those numbers are good, right? But he's got 13 blown saves. He was pushing the record there for a little bit. He got saved a couple times where a blown save didn't get added to that list. But I mean, we just had bigger expectations for him coming into the season. He was supposed to be a big piece in that back end of the bullpen. It didn't plan out like it did last year, or the way we thought it was gonna. So obviously, we'll have to see what his role is for the postseason, which we'll get into that a little later. But Chris, who is a hitter that did worse than what you expected coming into the season?
This hurts me to say, Mr. Alex Verdugo. I was so excited when the Yankees signed him in the offseason, but it was his worst year of his career by far.
Yeah.
In 559 at-bats, 130 hits, 13 home runs, 61 RBIs, good for a 233 average, and a below-league average 647 OPS.
Yeah.
He just did not. It felt like every at bat he was grounding out to first or second. It got rough near the end of the season there, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Alex Verdugo is a career .313 hitter in the playoffs. Some guys are just built for the bright lights. If he can hit .313 in the playoffs at the bottom of the order, that would be huge. So we'll see. We'll see if Boone and the guys take that into consideration. We'll see if he performs like that in the playoffs. But, Robert, who's a hitter that did better than you thought they would?
Yeah, a hitter that did better. This guy, he'll be the water boy. He'll be the ball boy. He'll run the errands. He'll do whatever you need. That's Oswaldo Cabrera, one of my favorite players. The guy's a dog. He'll do whatever you need. In 299 at-bats, he has 74 hits. That's a 247 average, 8 home runs, 36 RBIs, a 661 OPS, which, that's pretty much what we expect from Cabrera. Not more, not less. His role this year has kind of been confusing, and his role for the playoffs is probably going to be confusing too. But that's what we expect from Cabrera. He's got to play more. Aaron Boone should have played him more during the regular season, and we're going to be saying that he should have played more coming into the postseason, which, once again, we'll get into later. But Cabrera, what a great guy. And something that I want to note, just as you mentioned, Luke Weaver, the Yankees claimed him off waivers. So they pretty much got him for like a bag of chips. So
Exactly.
He's turned into a star. He's turned into our closer, and he's going to be a big role this postseason. So obviously those are some players that, they're each going to play a role this postseason. And whatever that role is, we're hoping for the best. That is to be determined. Moving on to the next topic, Chris, let's speak a little bit about the playoff roster.
So, I have written down on my notes here what I would make the playoff lineup. I think you have yours written down too. Let's compare, see how they are. So, leading off, I have Gleyber Torres. Think that's pretty set in stone. He has been doing great over the past month. I think he's the leadoff hitter as of right now. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, think we just need to move on from that. Don't think there's much argument. Batting fourth, I have Austin Wells, the man behind the dish. He has been incredible this season. Batting fifth behind him, I have Giancarlo Stanton, incredible playoff hitter. We need him. We need him this postseason. Batting sixth, I got Smooth Jazz Chisholm. Jazz has been so cool since he came over. This guy just brings such a cool vibe to the Yankees. He brings speed. He brings electricness. He's incredible. Batting after Jazz, I have either Ben Rice or Oswaldo Cabrera or John Birdie or whoever's going to be playing first base. If you ask me and if you ask Robert, it should be Oswaldo Cabrera. Not a doubt in any of our minds. Ben Rice, he had that 3 home run game. I was there, by the way. Pretty cool. But beside that, guy didn't do much. He didn't do much. He went away from his approach of taking pitches. He was swinging. He was under every ball. John Birdie, he's cool, but it's nice to have him off the bench in the end of the game for some speed. But batting eighth, I would either have Alex Verdugo or Jason Dominguez. Don't know what they're going to do with that. I honestly think they're going to base it off matchups. So we'll see how that goes. And batting ninth, I have our shortstop, Anthony Volpe. So, Robert, do you have anything that you disagree with in that lineup?
There's not much that I really disagree with. I think that's pretty much set in stone, just switching maybe a couple of those players there. Going into Ben Rice, it's probably going to be him starting at first base, which we'll determine here in the next couple days. Looking at his numbers, he in 152 at-bats, he had 7 home runs, 23 RBIs. That's a 171 batting average. So, for his limited time that he was up here, he did show power. He can pull that ball to right field, which is an easy home run in Yankee Stadium. But so can Cabrera. So, it's going to be hard to say. Cabrera you can use more as a bench piece, I guess, and move him around where needed. But Ben Rice, I will say, does probably pose more of a home run and power threat than Cabrera.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that they're going to look into. And defense-wise, I mean, I don't think there's really much a difference. I know Ben Rice has played much more first base down in the minors than Cabrera ever has. So that's probably going to contribute into that more. Do you have any more to say about that competition going there?
Yeah, Aaron Boone was saying on the Talkin' Yanks podcast the other day that he does value a lot having Oswaldo on the bench because, God forbid, somebody gets hurt or you need to make a pinch hitter adjustment or something. You have Oswaldo who can play outfield. He can play short. He can pretty much play anywhere in the infield and the outfield. Guy is incredible for that. Where Ben Rice can only catch and play first. We've never seen him catch at the MLB level. John Birdie, another guy that can play a couple positions, but I agree with you. I do think it's going to be Ben Rice. We saw Ben Rice the other day in batting practice go deep off Garrett Cole, which I think we got to take that with a grain of salt because I don't think Garrett Cole was pitching 100%. It was probably 80% or so.
I mean, it's just something to note that Ben Rice is a big prospect in the Yankee system.
Oh, yeah.
There is a big chance that next year he's our starting first baseman, depending on what happens with Rizzo, which he'll probably be set aside. But just in 2023, he was the hitting prospect of the year by MLB Pipeline. I mean, the guy has the chance to be a star.
They clearly believe in him. If they keep bringing him up, he was the guy to bring up when Rizzo went down. So they clearly have faith in this kid, and he showed it in his first couple of games. He has a great approach at the plate. He can work a walk whenever you need him to. He just needs to stay. He needs to stay true to his approach and not try to do too much.
And I'm not trying to say that I prefer Ben Rice, which maybe for the sake of the Yankees, it's probably best that he does start. But give Cabrera his playing time. He deserves a shot. I mean, if we're being honest.
Oh, yeah. He does. Do you want to talk about Verdugo and Jason Dominguez a little bit?
Yeah, that's definitely a conversation that needs to be held. I mean, Dominguez, it's kind of the same thing Ben Rice as well as Cabrera, where Dominguez is that power threat in the lineup compared to Verdugo. I mean, just looking at his very limited numbers up here in the MLB, 56 at-bats. He has 2 home runs, which obviously you want more from that aspect. Only 4 RBIs, which is good for a 179 batting average. So, as his stint up here in the last couple of weeks has shown, he's able to hit Major League Baseball pitching, and obviously he's going to be a huge superstar in the future. He's still developing as a player, but in my opinion, he needs to be starting left field this Saturday at the Bronx.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree. And I feel like Dominguez has been unlucky a little bit, too. I've seen a couple at-bats where he's hit the ball on the screws.
Yeah.
And same thing goes for Verdugo with the Oswaldo Cabrera thing. If it's the 8th inning or something and they bring in, or if you pinch hit Verdugo, or if you don't pinch hit Verdugo, you can put him in the outfield for Dominguez if defense is your problem. Because I think we both can agree, Verdugo, significantly better defender in left field than Jason Dominguez. So, do you want to move into the pitchers? Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's to be determined. We'll see. And one thing to note is that Dominguez does add more of a speed threat than Verdugo on the bases.
He does,
which is obviously very, very important coming into the postseason. So that's something to consider. But
having
it's not our call. It's Aaron Boone's.
Having Jazz, Dominguez, and Volpe all within 4 spots of each other, that's big. That's a lot of speed right there. That can make a pitcher worried, and that's what we need to do, because the Yankees have never had speed.
That can change an inning right there, just the focus from the pitcher, worrying about the base path, so that's very important.
All right, so I saw on Twitter that the Yankees are only going to be using 11 or 12 pitchers, according to Aaron Boone. So I have written down here I have 14 guys that I think could be potential pitchers. So I think these guys, in my opinion, are locks. These guys are locks. They're on the roster. Garrett Cole, Luis Gil, Carlos Rodon, Ian Hamilton, Tim Hill, Clay, Tommy Kahnle, Mark Leiter Jr., Jake Cousins, and the Weave Dog. That's 10 right there. So if we have 11 or 12, we have 1 or 2 spots for these 4 guys: Cody Poteet, Tim Meza, Clark Schmidt, and Marcus Stroman. So, Robert, who do you think the 1 or 2 people are going to be out of that 4?
So I think that the two that are going to be chosen. So obviously Schmidt is going to be on this team. So really, it's one position for three players if you really look at it. I think if the Yankees move on into the CS and obviously the World Series, we'll look more for a depth piece, being Stroman or even Petit. Which in that case I think they would choose Stroman over Petit. But I think that last spot going into the ALDS is going to be Meza. I mean, he hasn't shown incredible numbers, I guess, in his short stint on the Yankees. But he is another lefty coming out of the bullpen, which our only other lefty is Tim Hill, which I guess if you consider Canley's changeup, that works good. Really good stats against left-handed hitters and a couple other guys in there. Throw some stuff that can really control the left side. But besides that, I think it's going to be Meza, which, I mean, it is what it is. What do you got to say about it?
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think it is going to be Tim Meza because, unfortunately, Nestor Cortez is still hurt. But once Nestor comes back, I think it's definitely going to be him and Schmidt. I think Stroman then gets the... Stroman's not going to be the one on the roster. I think it's going to be Schmidt and Nestor. Hopefully Nestor will be back for the CS, we pray. But yeah, I do agree with you that it's going to be Meza and Schmidt, just because you can't only have one lefty in the bullpen. We need to have two.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you get deeper into the games, it's going to be matchups and all that. So
100%.
It's important, which probably wins him over the rest of the guys in the competition there.
Yeah. Let's head into the Royals series preview.
Yeah, going into that, from the Yankees hitters aspect, the Yankees, they're obviously more of a threat offensively than the Royals. The Royals obviously employ the run game, small ball, much more. Just recently watching them versus the Orioles in this past series, which obviously we don't really watch the Royals that much. They hit the ball the other way. They find those little holes in the infield, and they're able to put pressure on the pitcher, which obviously is something that the Yankees' rotation struggles with. But looking at the numbers-wise, the Yankees' runs per game this year, they averaged 5.03. Home runs came into a total of 237 home runs, which a team average of 248, which isn't great. And looking at the Royals' numbers, 4.45 runs per game, 170 home runs, which kind of shows how they're not really a power threat, except a couple guys in the lineups with a 248 average, just like the Yankees. So, like I said, the Yankees probably win on that side of the ball, but I mean, the Royals do have tools in their lineup that can deploy different aspects of the game. But Chris, what do you got about the pitching side?
So pitching is where the Royals are obviously a very strong team, but after looking at the stats, they're not that far off from the Yankees. The Yankees are right there with them. Runs allowed per game from a pitching staff. The Yankees allow 4.12 runs per game. The Royals allow 3.98 runs per game. The team ERA, the Yankees actually win this one. The Yankees have a 3.74 team ERA. The Royals have a 3.76. So very close, but these are numbers to keep in mind as we get in the postseason. Strikeouts per 9 innings. The Yankees average 9.03 while the Royals average 8.4. So the Royals do have a really good pitching rotation, but the Yankees are right there with them if you ask me. I mean, the Yankees pitching staff has gone seriously under the radar this year. People forget about Garrett Cole. People forget about Rodon. I mean, this pitching rotation is special for the Yankees, and I think they can go toe-to-toe with the Royals.
I mean, and just pointing something out, the Yankees do have a struggle with the run game. Either that's the pitchers forgetting to hold on the runner correctly, or even Trevino and Wells having trouble throwing guys out, which I think something that the Royals are going to try to employ. Obviously, they got Bobby Witt, who has speed. Isbell has speed. Just so many guys in the lineup that can move and potentially steal a bag later in a game. So it's something that the Yankees got to keep an eye on and control, and just got to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Going into the pitching probables for this series. So, this is who's pitching for each team for each game. Game 1, Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. in the Bronx. Garrett Allen Cole is on the bump against Michael Wacha. Sinker slider guy, 12-year vet in the MLB. I got a lot of respect for Michael Wacha.
Has pitched in the playoffs before.
He has. I have a lot of
Times.
respect for Michael Wacha, but respectfully, we're gonna F him up. Respectfully.
Yeah. Respectfully,
Game 2.
Michael, I mean. Good luck, buddy.
You're probably a great guy, Michael Wacha, but we're gonna F you up, respectfully. Game 2, we got Carlos Rodon versus Cole Ragans. This scares me. Yankees have seriously struggled against lefties. The only 2 runs they scored against Ragans this year was a 2-run home run from Soto, which was, when was that? I think that was early September when he fouled the pitch off his foot and then he hit the home run next pitch. That was against Cole Ragans. So we struggled against him, but Rodon's been really good, so hopefully we can play it across a couple more. Game 3 is either going to be Luis Gil or Clark Schmidt. Yankees have not announced it yet. In my opinion, I think it should be Luis Gil. I think it has to be. He has been very strong this year. For the Royals side, it's either going to be Seth Lugo or Brady Singer. They have not announced it yet, but I do believe it will be Seth Lugo. He pitched yesterday for them in the second game of the wild card. Game 4 is going to be a rematch of Game 1. It's going to be Cole versus Wacha again. And then Game 5 is going to be a rematch of Game 2. It's going to be Rodon versus Ragans again. So, honestly, I don't really want it to get to a Game 5 because I do not trust the Yankees against the lefty in a Game 5 situation. But,
no, I mean,
yeah.
Cole Ragans, he scares me. I mean, he really
he's
does.
Nasty. He's really good.
He was a first overall pick in 2016, so he has the potential. He's going to be probably a Cy Young contender. Probably top 5 if you look at it. I mean, just in his first postseason debut, he didn't allow any runs, 6-inning pitch. Obviously looked very sharp with 8 strikeouts. So this guy worries me, especially like you said, if we get into a Game 5 where he can just go through our lineup. Depending on how our lineup looks the first couple games, if it's just Judge and Soto hitting like it has been for probably 2/3 of the season, then they're just going to walk those guys and look to others to try to hit the ball, which, against lefties, it's going to be tough.
Also worthy of noting, I feel like, I don't know if it will affect anything, but Cole Ragans did leave against the Orioles early with left calf cramps. He left after about 80 pitches, so that is definitely worth noting. The Royals, it says right here on MLB.com, the Royals do not believe it will affect his future availability, but you never know. He does have a while to rest. He has until Game 2 is Monday, I believe, so he has until Monday. He's got a while to rest, but just something to keep in the back of our heads because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's going to be tough, but we got to try to work the count. We got to try to get on base and try to get something going, especially early in the first couple innings. There's just something else to mention about this series, and that's going to be the Bobby Witt Jr. versus Aaron Judge kind of duel. I guess Aaron Judge runs away with the MVP, but just looking at some of their numbers, batting average rise, Bobby Witt takes Aaron Judge hitting .332. Home runs, obviously Aaron Judge at 58, but Bobby Witt does show a lot of power for his 5-tool capability with 32 home runs. In WRC, Aaron Judge 218, Bobby Witt 168. So comparing Bobby Witt to Aaron Judge probably isn't the best case, but because they're in this series, it's obviously notable. But Bobby Witt does show 5-star capability, and the guy's just a stud.
He's going to be a stud for the next couple of years. The Royals were one of the worst teams last year, and now they could be contending to go to
losses last year.
Yeah, and now they're in the ALDS. So shout out to Bobby Witt. It'll be
interesting to see how the Royals kind of handle the Bronx. It's much different than playing 2 p.m. at Camden Yards, which disrespect to Oriole fans. But
I don't even blame the Oriole fans. I blame the timing.
It's
awful timing.
It is awful timing. The upper deck wasn't even filled. MLB, let's get that fixed. Ron Manfred, if you're watching this, what are we doing? You're a clown. Anyways, Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, 6:30 p.m. It's going to be a different atmosphere. Obviously, Yankee Stadium itself is just, in general, a different atmosphere. So it's going to be interesting to see how those Royals players handle that and how they try to get used to that if they haven't already from the O's.
Even in their division, they're used to playing like the Tigers and the Guardians. No offense to those teams, but
let's give a shout out to the Tigers. Let's give a shout out to the Tigers. The boys did their jobs, took care of the Stros, sent them to the garbage cans.
Exactly.
What else is there to say? Shout out to them.
The Astros.
Such a young team.
The gritty
and-
Tigs, baby. The gritty Tigs.
But it's until we face them. For now on,
Yeah.
go Tigers.
Oh, yeah. Until they beat the Guardians, cross our fingers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. I do not want to face Tariq Skubal, though, in the playoffs. That is scary.
Oh, that guy's nasty.
That is scary. He's
That guy's
the
stud.
Cy Young, without a doubt.
It's not even a question.
I don't think I have anything else to add, Robert. Do you have anything? Any final notes or anything before I send us off?
No, I believe that we hit everything that we wanted to. Everybody tune in October 5th, 6:30, prime time, TBS, Yankee Stadium. If you're going to the Bronx, be loud. Let's get the chants going. Bleacher Creatures, be loud. Yeah, it's going to be an epic time.
Yep. Resign Soto. I want to hear those chants through my computer screen. I want to hear resign Soto. Everybody at the stadium, be safe. Have a good time, everybody. I think that's about it, Robert. This was a great show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great day. God bless everybody. And as always,
and subscribe, everybody. Like and
yes,
subscribe.
sir. Like and subscribe.
Run up our page. Come on now.
Let's go.
Let's go
Bronx
Yankees.
Banter.
Final say, Chris.
That's about all I got to say, Robert. It's been a great episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hope everybody has a great day. God bless everybody. And let's go Yankees.